Thank you, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today here on KELK. It is Tuesday, so it's the day we set aside to get updated in city news and issues. And we've got a lot to kind of pack in today. And, well, we're feeling special because the last couple of days, Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo has been making the rounds. And he's been in Elko. He was in Winnemucca yesterday morning, but he's been in Elko since yesterday. And it's been great to catch up with him. And he said, he's not just fulfilling a campaign promise by coming to rural Nevada, but he's really listening to the issues and he's hearing a lot of important things. And I know that I'm sure Jan Baum will give us a bit of an update too from the city perspective. But I just came from this morning a wildfire crisis strategy forum at the Lions Camp in Lamoille Canyon. Oh, first of all, I didn't want to leave. It was just beautiful at the newly refurbished or the rebuilt, it's the Lions Camp Pavilion. It was a topic of really it's significant interest in Elko because it's all about partnering and community engagement, and really nobody does it better than we do here in northeastern Nevada. So the governor spoke. The deputy undersecretary is also on hand today, so that's significant because the deputy undersecretary is with the national department, U.S. Department of Agriculture. So it's pretty cool stuff today. And along with that, we have our city manager Jan Baum, and Jan, you brought a special guest today in our city parks and recreation director, right? And James Wiley.
Absolutely. And James is no stranger to Elko Live, so we're happy to have him for sure.
Absolutely. And you are fresh from Nevada League of Cities, and you have some exciting news for us and some updates as a result of that, Jan?
Right. So I spent a couple days last week in the city of Las Vegas and for the Nevada League of Cities, and drum roll, Reese Keener, our mayor, was named the Public Official of the Year. So that was pretty exciting. That was the very end of Thursday evening, right before we all came home on Friday. And anyway, that was exciting. The executive board of the League of Cities named him as the Public Official of the Year. And Mayor Lori Bagwell, who is the mayor of Carson City, she just gave me a little information and said that, Reese is always willing to help other cities and towns in the general improvement districts and understands the importance of the league and is never afraid to ask for ideas or assistance to help with the city of Elko. And so that was exciting, and I think he was excited, and so that was a great way to end our couple days at the League of Cities.
Oh, that is fantastic news. Did he seem surprised? Was he excited, Jan?
I think he was surprised. I think Mayor Lori Bagwell pulled it off, so that was pretty exciting. I had a little information beforehand so that I was aware, but no, I think he was surprised, and it was a nice tribute.
That is great news. Congratulations, Elko City Mayor Reese Keener, on being named the Public Official of the Year by Nevada League of Cities, and that is a significant recognition. So congratulations. And we're going to be hosting the League of Cities, right? Or I guess Nevada League of County, or the NACO's coming here.
Nevada Association of Counties. And yes, they're coming, I believe, in October. And so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we'll have a little bit of that kind of strategizing going on in our community. We'll talk more about that, I'm sure, as the date approaches, Jan. Very cool.
Absolutely.
So you wanted to give us maybe a little overview of last week's regular city council meeting, right? From the 8th?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. I think the main item on the agenda that is concerning to the public is the Elko Inn. And so the city did launch a formal investigation into the public nuisance to determine if a public nuisance was warranted. And after receiving the formal investigation, I determined that a public nuisance was warranted. And so I believe at the end of last week or the beginning of this week, the owner was notified of the public nuisance complaint. And so we will await their response.
Okay, so that is just part of the process that's been ongoing now for a few months to eradicate that nuisance. That includes, crimes, criminal activity, neighbors who have been, intimidated and harassed and just had their property absconded with. I mean, just various complaints about that once beautiful property right there on Idaho Street.
Absolutely. And it is a public safety concern for the public. And I just want to reiterate again, we've talked about this several times in council meetings and maybe even on the air, I'm not sure, but it's important for the public to voice their concerns with either if they have a criminal complaint to list that on the website for the police department and do a police report, or they can call or email the code enforcement officer. And it's just important to put those complaints in writing and get those in. So I just want to reiterate that.
Right. Keep those complaints coming in. It does make a difference, even if it doesn't seem like it immediately, but it does add up.
Absolutely. It's difficult to enforce a public nuisance based on gossip. It needs to be in writing and it needs to be a formal complaint. And so it's important that the public do that if they have complaints or concerns about public safety, because public safety is a true concern for the city of Elko.
All right. That'll only help in the process. Well,
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jan, for the update, our city manager. You did have a couple other things on the list I want to make sure we get to before we switch over to Mr. Wiley.
Yes, I would just like to mention importantly that September 5th is when the return overnight flight returns to the city of Elko. And I don't have the exact times of the flights, but the early morning flight will leave Elko around 6:30 in the morning, I believe, and then the late flight that comes into Elko will come in about 8:30 or 9. So I apologize, I don't have the exact times, but anyway, it's the return overnight flight where the flight comes in at night and then leaves in the morning, and this is very conducive to business travel and like you were saying, some leisure travel as well if you want to go somewhere for the day and then come back in the evening. So anyway, we're excited for that to come back and hoping that increases our flight numbers. Just to mention, last week when I flew out to Vegas, my flight was full. So that was a good sign. It was exciting to see.
That's SkyWest flying in and out of Elko. They're a regional carrier, and every flight makes a difference again in securing the future. The governor did say, by the way, Governor Lombardo, Jan, I meant to ask you if you'd had any time with him yet, because I know he's been visiting a lot of folks, but he did say he's working with Senator Goygachi. I think they had a meeting today. He is diligently working to try to find some money to prop up our local air service development plans.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. I haven't had any time with him. I know the police chief has, and we visited about it today in directors a little bit, but that's great news. As we all know, when in the legislature, we had a bill pass and it was funded for $2 million, $1 million each year for AIP assistance for funding for airport projects, but unfortunately the funding for the air
Your Rural Air Alliance. Yeah, FAN.
Thank you. Was not funded, which was going to be $5 million a year. And really, it would have benefited Elko, but it would have benefited the state as a whole. The state is in desperate need for some flights that accommodate the triangle between Las Vegas, Reno, and the city of Elko. And it's unfortunate that people or residents of the city of Elko have to leave the state in order to fly anywhere, or even to fly to Vegas, right? So that is unfortunate, and I'm hoping that the state of Nevada can help us out with that.
Yep, I think they're taking it seriously by the sound of it. So appreciate the update, and again, appreciate the governor being in town and spending time with the local civic and community leaders, because he's trying to get a grasp of all the issues, the things that are really important to rural Nevadans, and including in Winnemucca, where they're now going to have communities and schools at Lowry High School, because Elko showed how successful it is for rural communities.
Oh, yeah. That's wonderful. That's a great program. And,
isn't it?
I'm glad that Winnemucca is taking that on. That's great.
Yeah. So Elko helped to pave the way for that. We can be really proud. Well, Jan, thanks. We can now give James a turn.
Absolutely. He has
good.
all the fun stuff. So.
All right, he does. He has all the fun stuff. Well, James, it is always a pleasure to catch up with you. It means that, well, first of all, you have some time to do that because as Parks and Rec Director, you oversee a lot of amenities in the city and a lot of acres, too. We have quite a bit to offer, I guess, within city limits.
Yeah, when you look at it that way, we really do, and that's important. This is the time of year, when we get out of July and we're in August, I don't want to call it a little low in our duties or anything, but we can really focus on catching up with some maintenance items, and we really start rolling out our projects that we have planned for the year because we're not dealing with a lot of sports activity. So spring and fall are heavy sports months in Elko, and we'll be fastly approaching our fall sports with soccer and junior football and, continuing on some adult softball as well.
And we fortunately have the amenities for that. We have the sports complex and some other fields that looks like they're getting in really good shape these days.
Yeah, our parks crews out there currently, they're doing a lot of work on our turf surfaces, aerating, top dressing, adding amendments, fertilizing, and overseeding. So pretty extensive work there, not only in the park system, but also it's ongoing at our golf course as well.
Yeah, and we can squeeze in some time to dedicate to that as well, if we have time, because we do have a list, and I know you wanted to start off with some Snow Bowl news, right, James?
Yeah, I like to give updates on the Snow Bowl. It's really been a busy off season for us up there. We've had a lot of work to do and complete, and we had some issues with the lift last winter, unfortunately. That one bit us a little bit, but since then we've done a tremendous amount of work on the ski lift. We rebuilt our service brake. We had to send that out and have it completely rebuilt. We completely rewired the safety circuit from the top of the lift down to the bottom of the lift. That was really what was giving us a lot of fits with the lift operating. It was doing its job because there were problems there, but we had to rewire that. And then the last stage of that hopefully we can get done before the snow flies. If not, we'll have to postpone it till next spring, is we're going to upgrade our main electrical control panel. And those are big projects, and there's a lot of logistics behind those. We have huge lead times on parts and materials, and so it's been a struggle to get them done in a timely fashion, but we'll be ready for ski season this year. We've also done a lot of repairs on our grooming equipment, our snowcats, and we've spent a significant amount of cash on those as well. So we're really trying to get prepared for a good winter, and I hope that Mother Nature does us another favor and gives us a good snow year again.
So that's a lot to look forward to. And then we also have a replacement shade shelter coming for one that I guess that was destroyed a few years ago. Yeah,
I think it was either in I can't remember when we had some damage done to that. It was a storm. A big wind gust came in and picked up that shade shelter that had been there for a number of years and kind of twisted it up and made it so it wasn't useful. So we've spent at least a year, maybe a year and a half without that shade shelter there. And we have that ordered. It's a little bit bigger than what was there. It's much more sturdier, and it'll be back in place. That pit area 1 in the main city park is one of our most popular spots for bigger parties and bigger events. And this is going to make it a lot nicer when it's really hot outside. There'll be some shade over there while they're doing their barbecues and stuff.
That's in the vicinity of the convention center where horseshoe pits are?
It is basically right across from the swimming pool and just adjacent to Newton Field.
Oh, that one. Okay. Yes. Okay. So that's very cool. Good news. And as you said, a new and improved shade shelter, I guess, thanks to Mother Nature, and hopefully the city's insurance kicked in some.
Well, I don't think we relied on insurance too much. That was a very old piece of equipment, and it really didn't have any value left in it. So, yeah, we were able to thank goodness we have the recreation fund, which is how we fund a lot of these projects in parks and recreation. We use those room tax dollars to do capital improvements or replacements. Any significant project that you see in the parks and recreation relies heavily on that room tax.
That's a really good segue, too, into some of the maintenance and improvements that you have going on. I don't know if it's a huge list, James, but some things that people might really appreciate.
Yeah, so, I mentioned earlier that spring and fall are busy months. We're either starting up or we're trying to shut down. So these dog days of summer are beneficial to us where we can really catch up on maintenance. So we've had some ongoing issues down at the sports complex with growing turf. We've made huge strides down there, and I can say that 2 of the fields are in really good shape, and 1 is still coming along. But it requires a lot of maintenance to have that, to make those nice and playable. So we've really focused on aeration. We focused on some top dressing, adding more amendments from the top down to help the turf survive. And we're going to actually do quite a bit of overseeding. So reseeding with some varieties of grasses down there to keep those thick and full and nice.
So as we mentioned at the beginning of the program or the topic, that it's going to be ready for the fall sports season for adult softball leagues.
Yeah, and they're ready now. 2 of the 3 are very playable. We got quite a bit of use down there this year, and I was really happy for that. We accommodated a lot of travel ball teams down there. We accommodated Little League. And a lot of people that just go down and do some practicing down there. I think it looks like we'll have a big fall tournament down there again. The Stephanie's tournament is one of the biggest tournaments in the area, and I can imagine we'll fill up all of our fields up here in Herrera and possibly the Cumps, and then also down there.
Oh, that'll be so nice. That's such an important tournament, James. I'm glad to hear that, not only is it growing, but it's, it sounds like it's here to stay. So that's really important to the community. That's great news. And, along those lines, updates on our city swimming pool and replacement, or what's new on the pool, James?
Well, one thing that's kind of old news is we struggle every day to keep the doors open over there. It's a very old facility. And it really is a struggle for staff, but they are doing such a great job in keeping those doors open. We're very limited. We're down to the outdoor kiddie pool and the indoor pool, but we have issues over there pretty much daily. And we're able to resolve a lot of them. But it's definitely at the point where we need to have a new pool replacement, and we are working with the Boys and Girls Club currently to get that done. And so I think we're starting to turn a corner, and I think there's going to be some really exciting news forthcoming and some more detailed updates on where we're at with that project.
Oh, that's good. Are you able to provide any of the updates on behalf of the city? I know it's a Boys and Girls Club project, but it's a collaborative project, I guess.
I think we're realistically 1 or 2 more weeks out, and talking to Rusty Barr, we're still pretty much in that conceptual stage, and I know that they're trying to land on a concept. I think there will be more than one option coming out, and then we'll get some public input on that and start moving forward into more detailed design.
Oh, good. But probably not construction this year. I mean, that might be, I don't know. Jen, did you want to, what you might know about it? I mean, that's everybody's waiting for, I guess.
Right. I don't think that I know a lot more than James knows, but
I think the best case scenario, and it's probably, it might be a little bit of a stretch, but they are targeting next spring to possibly break ground. We'll see how fast we can get through the design and the permitting and getting a contract let to get it built.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And design, architecture design will take some months. So I believe that next spring is a great goal, and I hope that's when they start building. That'd be great.
Yeah, if the sooner the better. Like I said earlier, our pool is really on I don't know how many more lifelines we can throw it. And so with that said, we're really trying to stretch out the use of this. And we're going to try and do that through some breaks in scheduling for a number of reasons. High school starts back up, college starts back up. We lose a significant amount of lifeguards for those early morning hours, the 5:30 to like noon, because they're in school. And so we're looking at revamping our schedule. We probably won't have any early morning open swims. It doesn't really make sense anyway because kids are in school, but we can do other things like lap swimming, aerobics. We can offer up time zones for families to rent the pool. We do have a couple of special groups that are looking at renting the pool at least once every 2 weeks for a couple of hours, and that's neat. But yeah, and then those open swim hours will be later on in the day when we can maximize our lifeguard staff. And then the issue with the winter, the pool was never really designed or built to be open year round, even though it's indoor. So we have very significant humidity issues and air circulation issues in there. And that when it's really cold outside and we're heating it up inside, you get a lot of condensation and a lot of dripping from the ceiling, and the building's just trying to sweat, but it sweats inside, and it kind of makes a mess in the pool. So we may consider closing down for a few weeks just to give that poor old building a little bit of a break in the winter months.
Yeah, that makes some sense. And it may be a topic for Elko City Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. This is a good time to just remind people that this is a board of citizen volunteers of various interests, James. At last check, you had, I think, at least one opening there. I don't know if you filled that since.
We are we need to advertise for one vacant position, but we reappointed 3 of our current members to another 4-year term. So we currently have 8 members and we have 1 vacant position, and I do need to get working on getting that advertisement out. So if anybody's interested, feel free to contact me at my office or contact the clerk at the city hall, and we can direct you. Basically what it comes down to is we just need a letter of interest stating why you want to serve on the board, maybe what some of your interests are while you're serving on the board. And then the council gets to look at those, and they get to appoint an individual to that board.
So the 3 reappointed, I think, Fred Badia, Lynette Davis, and Danny Story?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and Katie Neddenrip decided that she did a 2-year term, and she decided that she's got other things going on in life and wanted to move towards those. So we wanted to thank her. We didn't meet a whole lot. It was kind of a weird time. But she did contribute, and I wanted to say thank you to her.
Absolutely. She's busy chasing kids, and and she definitely put her heart into, as you said, what everybody was able to accomplish during COVID. That was a rough time. Do you need to be a city resident to sit on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board?
I don't believe so for Parks and Recreation. I think you can be a county resident.
Okay, so get in touch with, of course, your guy, or was that a look of yes, you think, or well, let's see.
Yeah, we will put an advertisement out,
perfect.
and it will have that'll have some requirements to define. But if my memory serves me right, for Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, you don't have to be a resident of the city.
Okay.
You have to be a resident of Elko County.
Okay, good. I mean, because it's all the amenities are available for use by all the citizens of Elko County, and it's really always been that way, so it's understandable. I mean, and that's a good segue too into the survey that's out right now, James, which is really important because, as Vice Mayor Mandy Simons put it, she said, we had those surveys. We really emphasized them during Art in the Park and the rodeo. And she said, so I anticipate we're going to have a lot of rodeo fans and a lot of Art in the Park fans. So if you are of any other interest, you need to make sure your voice is heard too, right?
Yeah, and it's a brief survey, and please take it if you haven't already. We've had a good response to it. I think we're closing in on between 850 and 900 participants in this, so that's really a good showing for a survey. We'd like to get to 1,000. We think like we could garner a little bit, have a better analysis if we hit 1,000, but we can go ahead and do our analysis where we're at now. I believe we want to give it through the weekend of the fair, and we'll have some more QR codes out there that people can scan. It's also on our website, and it really only takes a couple of minutes. It's a very simple survey, but there's a lot of important information that we can take from that and do an analysis, a needs analysis, and a level of service analysis. That's really what we're looking to do.
And we should qualify what it is not. You're not voting or picking a project, right, James?
No, there are some comment boxes in there where you can add additional comments if you'd like, and we do encourage that. But it's really trying to gauge some demographics. It's trying to gauge which facilities get used more than ever or others, and maybe what you would like to see. And there's some categories in there, trails, conserving open space, sports fields, other facilities. So it's kind of broad, but it does really allow us to gauge, garner a lot of information from that. So please participate. You can find that link on our city website. And there may still be some QR codes around in some of the parks. I think they've kind of disappeared recently, but if you see one, just go ahead and scan it and take the survey. It takes about 5 minutes.
Okay. And if you do need help, I'm sure you can contact anyone from Parks and Rec Advisory Board or City Hall. Kim Wilkinson is so helpful. She can help find someone who can help you complete that survey, but it's very important that you do so in going forward because it's informing the master plan. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And I guess just briefly, can you tell us what the master plan's all about, James?
So a master plan is a guiding document we use to gauge our level of service and what the community wants, but more importantly, what the community needs, and how to get there. It's a guiding document. So the best thing that comes out of the master plan are specific goals and objectives. And those are all tied into our needs analysis. So it helps us guide with future planning. We kind of know what we need to work on and where we need to improve or what we're doing really well. And so it's very helpful for us.
Yeah, I think the most recent one, it's online, right?
Yes.
And it's from a few, 15, 20 years ago?
2010 or 12.
Oh, okay. So it's
remember.
not that old. Yeah. And so you can get an idea. Go on. It's actually kind of a fun read, unless I'm just a nerd, but I like reading that stuff because it does help you understand what some of the goals and priorities of even previous community leaders, what they had in mind.
Yeah. So the last one, we did pretty good with the last master plan. It did need some updates. It's been 10 or 11 years since we did it. But some of the big things that came out of that was the need for a recreation center / pool. We're making progress on that. With that, we also had a big need to expand our baseball and softball facilities, and we did that with phase 1 because originally we thought we were going to have to displace some of those fields. So we pulled off phase 1 with that. But if you also look in there, popular items, walking trails, biking trails, conserving open space was a big topic in the last one, and based on what I've seen from the survey so far, that's another big popular item for our community.
Right. Not so much pavement. And that fits in too with urban fishery, right? You're working with NDOW on that?
Yeah. And I'm not fully up to date on the status of where we're at on that project, but just to give a little background on that, Joe Doucette approached the city a year ago, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think this is an idea that's been floated around the community for quite some time as well. But they are trying to secure a piece of property just off of 12th Street, just on the east side of 12th Street, right down there by the banks of the river. It's on private property right now, but they need to acquire that property. And then the plan is that they would develop it and bring some amenities in, and they would stock it with fish regularly, and the city would be responsible for the maintenance of that facility.
Sounds like another cool project. So moving forward, James, thank you. I know NDOW, when Julie Gabrielson comes in, she was hoping that things might close in August and they might start moving more on the property, but we'll get an update on that. Speaking of NDOW, congratulations, Caleb McAdoo. We found out this morning in the Moyle Canyon that he's been named as a deputy director for NDOW for this region, and he's going to be staying in Elko. But so pretty cool news.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's going to help all those local efforts even that much more. Did we get to all the topics that you were hoping to, James, or?
Yeah, I think we covered some good stuff. It's not real juicy information, but it's the time of year we're in, and it's important that we share that with the community. So I hope it was beneficial to your listeners, and I think we covered pretty much for the time being.
Thank you so much, James. And always, you'll come back, I'm sure, and give us an update, even if it's juicy or not. I think people appreciate knowing what's going on.
I think we're going to have a lot more information to start, detailed information to be bringing out in the near future. We also have a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board tentatively scheduled for the 3rd week in October, and I'm hoping to have some information to share with them by then as well.
Oh, that's great news. Great. Thank you, Jan Baum, our city manager. Thank you for bringing James along today. We appreciate all the news and information.
Thank you for having us, Lori.
Absolutely. And congratulations again to Elko City Mayor Reese Keener. He is Public Official of the Year as named by the Nevada League of Cities. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. Oh, I'm just realizing I need to scroll ahead and push a button. There we go. You guys wish you could see this, don't you? So I think I've done it. Make next. There we go. Look at how smart I am. Have a great afternoon, everybody.